Hi, my name is Katie, I like comics, and I think the Maker's arrogance and underestimation of people he deems dumber than him is going to be what's ultimately his undoing. My first piece of evidence is he ranks Sue Storm and Ben Grimm as a level 1 on his threat scale. Now, I also think it's very interesting that he lets level 6s live and not necessarily serve him. At first I thought he was just going to manipulate and use the people who are level 6, and then I remembered Spider-Man Peter Parker is a level 6, and he largely left him alone after stopping him from getting his powers. Now, I do think part of this is nature abhors a vacuum, and the devil you know is better than the devil you don't. He doesn't want other heroes to come fill these roles, and he knows these people. Well, he thinks he knows these people. He'd rather tango with Peter Parker than some random guy from the corner of the street who ends up being worse than that somehow. Now, this is why I think the X-Girls in Japan and then Charlie, the current Hawkeye, are going to be very impactful during Endgame. He doesn't know those people. And to me, the biggest evidence to his arrogance and just underestimation is he left Steve Rogers, right? So the Maker goes to look for Captain America, Steve Rogers. Can't find him. And he leaves it at that. So instead of continuing to look for him or sending out expeditions to look for him, he just goes, all right, that's not a problem. He likely assumes that because all of the heroes around Steve aren't there, well, he's not going to be a problem. While Steve is definitely not as much of a problem if he doesn't have people around him, he's still going to cause issues. But at the end of the day, I think it was an overestimation that's really going to do him in. I think he overestimated Howard Stark's alcoholism. He knows Tony eventually beats it, and you can't rely on that as his handicapping factor, but Howard really doesn't. He probably thought that would make Iron Man just docile and controllable up until the end. And if you've read Ultimate Invasion, which you need to, you would know that all of this would not be happening if Howard Stark hadn't realized what was going on and sacrificed himself so that his son Tony could maybe change things. I've always viewed Howard Stark as a terrible deadbeat dad. I definitely wouldn't have expected him to pull that at the end, so I guess he also underestimated a father's love, which makes sense for him.